So we're in a little bit of a depression phase right now in the UFC with back-to-back horrible Apex cards. This one, especially this week, is just absolutely unacceptable. The fact that we're still in the Apex, we have two women headlining a main event of a fight night. It's just complete whatever. But after that, following and starting in June with UFC 316 and moving up, we have a loaded summer ahead of us with incredibly exciting matchups. And there's nothing really that piques my interest right now that I have been jumping on to talk about, which is why there's kind of been this big gap in between videos. So, but I have to come on here and I just got to discuss right now, probably without a doubt, the most stacked and exciting division right now in the sport, which is the welterweight division. The welterweight division is just absolutely loaded right now. And of course, it even is bigger now with Islam Makhachev coming into an already stacked division. Everywhere you look in this division, there are exciting matchups to be made left and right. And there's so many guys that are like right there on the cusp of a title shot, but it's not clear yet. So I just kind of want to discuss the welterweight division, the state of the welterweight division at the moment. I've always held that lightweight is the most premier division, and until Islam left, it was pretty like up there, like loaded lightweight with Paddy, Justin Gaethje. But Poirier's on the way out. Gaethje could be on the way out. Holloway, give him a few more years. But there is, of course, some good talent there like Arman and Paddy. Ilia Topuria now going to be having a chance to be the new king of that division. But still, welterweight has to be the most stacked right now. We have shifted into a whole completely new era of welterweight. We've seen the GSP era. We've seen the Kamaru Usman era. And it's just amazing to see this division. Super exciting. So let's just talk about the welterweight division because, I mean, there's so many amazing matchups to be made here. So you got to start by talking about the old guard, right? I just mentioned the Kamaru Usman era. And most of these fighters are either on their way out or really just don't have it anymore. I believe that every single one of these guys is a loss or two away from really just retiring. And they really just don't have a shot much at the title anymore. Like, we just saw Gilbert Burns lose. Leon Edwards lost to Sean Brady. And yes, I'm including Bilal on here. He's almost 38 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Is he 37 or 38? But Bilal just lost to Jack Della Maddalena. You know the UFC is going to give him a very long way back up to that title. I mean, think about it. Sean O'Malley's getting an immediate title shot after one title defense. And Bilal Muhammad didn't even defend his title. But I'm saying whatever. So, and then Wonderboy Thompson, Leon Edwards, all these guys, and Colby Covington for sure. There's like on a 4-fight losing streak. This is the old guard that are still floating around in the rankings of welterweight. And sure, their names, they're exciting. Like if I see these guys on a card, I'll still be happy to watch. They'll be great complementary pieces in like a second fight on a main card, or if you're Kamaru Usman to become a featured fight. This is what I'm saying. The UFC should do less fight nights and put more of these guys into like pay-per-views to make them better. I really think the UFC should cut back on the Apex cards. Maybe have 2 crowded fight nights a month and then a pay-per-view. Cut out one of your shows a month. Tell me if that's crazy. But yeah, these guys are all pretty much on their way out of the rankings. They're just holding up their spots. And Kamaru Usman's the last stand on this, really. He has his matchup coming up with Hakeem Buckley in Atlanta in June. And that's the make it or break it fight for Kamaru. If he loses that fight, he's right down here with the rest of these guys like Leon, Colby, just Gilbert Burns. They're just, what are they even fighting for anymore? They're just being passed up to these younger killer guys to be given their high ranking spot. So Kamaru Usman has the last chance to really, if he beats a guy like Joaquin Buckley, he's right back up there with a bunch of these young killers in the division. But for the rest of these guys, they're all coming off losses. They're all pretty much done. Wonderboy Thompson maybe has one fight left in his career. Bilal Muhammad, I hope he takes a huge downfall. Colby Covington loves to talk. He's a personality, but he just hasn't found a win in so long, and he's taking these long layoffs. And you got to feel, I mean, respect to Gilbert Burns. He took on Michael Morales. He's been taking on the toughest challenges all of his career, like Usman, Chimaev, Sean Brady, Jack Della Maddalena. These are all guys, especially his last 3, like Jack Della Maddalena, who's the champion now, and Sean Brady, who's arguably the number 1 contender. Well, he's not arguably, he is the number 1 contender, but you don't feel like it because of how stacked this division is. So This is the old guard. This is the old age of welterweight that we've known and maybe some of these guys were your favorite fighters in the past couple of years, but they're on the way out. So that's the reality of these guys' careers. They're pretty much, give Leon Edwards to like maybe a Michael Morales next, whatever. They're just, this is the old guard. So then you go, and I want to talk about the in-betweens, right? I'm covering the entire top 15 here of welterweight. So you got the in-betweens, and basically this is a combination of gatekeepers and just like exciting in-between fighters that are in between the rankings and giving the matchmakers, fights to just throw in there into pay-per-views. Like two of these guys right here, Kevin Holland and Vicente Luque, are fighting at UFC 316. So Kevin Holland's back in the welterweight division versus Vicente, and he's fighting Vicente Luque. They're kind of old heads already, but they're just still in here in the rankings, trying to just give us fun fights. Jeff Neal I put in that category. And then Michael Venom Page right now is slowly but surely out of all these four, Michael Venom Page could be climbing higher into the rankings soon because he did start at middleweight and now he's back in welterweight. Oh no, maybe he fought Shar Bullet. What am I saying? He moved from welterweight to middleweight because he lost to Ian Gary. So actually, I gotta take Michael Venom Page off this slide, but whatever. I'm keeping this in here. I don't care. So I don't know, because I saw him in the rankings. He was ranked number 15 right now. So I mean, technically he could come back down in the division. But these are the in-betweens, right? Nothing really to say about these guys. Then the new era of welterweight. This is just crazy, this lineup right here. I mean, Jack Della Maddalena, a fantastic new champion at the top of the division. And he's going to be going into one of the biggest fights the promotion could put on. To do Bilal Muhammad and then approach Islam Makhachev in your next fight is just massive for him. But from what we've saw from his performance versus Bilal, to be able to resist Bilal's grappling and wrestling and to just light him up on the feet, because we know he's a phenomenal striker, and just how sharp he looked, and with his specifics training, Jack Della Maddalena could be a real test for Islam Makhachev. People look at Islam Makhachev like this, of course, and I said this, I'm saying this again, Islam's a whole level of a fighter. He's an elite lightweight champion. But how would that translate to 170 at a different weight class with a guy that, I guess, by weight is bigger than you? So we're going to see, man. We're going to see about this big fight between Jack and Islam. And we're going to get to Islam in a minute. But yeah, you got Ian Gary, who bounced back from Carlos Prates, who's on the far left over here. And Ian Gary looks like he might be fighting Sean Brady next. And I still hold that Sean Brady, out of all of these guys, is probably the most dangerous, the biggest threat out of all these guys, because of just, he's not as sharp on the feet, but his jiu-jitsu and wrestling game and the way he just displayed a masterclass versus Leon Edwards just put everyone on notice on the levels this guy could be on. He only lost to Bilal Muhammad right now in his UFC career, who's the current champion. Well, no, he was the champion. And then Joaquin Buckley has reinvented himself in this division. He was at middleweight or whatever. He had that crazy kick back in the day. Then he went on a couple losses, but now he's back and he's won like 7 straight, including Wonderboy Thompson, Colby Covington. If he beats Kamaru Usman next, then it gets even more confusing with who you give the next title shot to. Like, who you see these guys right here, you see Shavkat, Ian, Sean, and Joaquin Buckley. All of these guys could be getting the next title shot after the Islam Jack Della Maddalena fight gets sorted out. And you can't forget about Shavkat. A lot of people are forgetting about Shavkat. Does he necessarily deserve a shot next? No, being that he's sat out for so long and has missed he didn't really miss his opportunity. He was injured, but at the same time, the division has to move. He might have to re-establish himself as the number one guy. I wouldn't be mad at a Shavkat and Sean Brady matchup, or Ian Gary and Sean Brady, but it looks most likely like Shavkat's going to be out for a much longer period of time. So it looks like we're going to have Ian Gary versus Sean Brady on the Hazmat versus Dricus August 19th card, right? August 19th, I think, in Chicago. This is a phenomenal co-main event or featured fight on that card. If they really want to stack it up, like, this would be sick on that card. So I'm hoping this happens. The perfect way to determine that number one contender. Michael Morales, good win versus Gilbert Burns. Clearly, that was his showcase moment to really break into the rankings. He's only 25 and 18-0. He's still one of the rare undefeated fighters in this division, along with Shavkat. So Michael Morales still has to work his way up, and he could be thrown in here with any of these guys. And then Carlos Prates still has much to develop. He took a little bit of a step back with Ian Gary. Hopefully he could bounce back versus a win versus, let's say, a Jeff Neal. They rebook that, give Carlos Prates one of the in-between guys so that Carlos Prates can style on him, showcase, and work his way back up. Because I still think Carlos Prates has an insane potential. So yeah, this is the new era, ladies and gentlemen. These are the guys that are going to be running this division for the next few years. Just a lot of youth, a lot of skill. You got a little bit of everything. You got the elite strikers on the feet like Jack Della Maddalena, the well-rounded fight. I mean, we don't even know like how legitimate Michael Morales is in the ground game. Just his length, his height, his striking is right now great. Shavkat, and then Sean Brady looks like a real monster. It's super exciting. Any of these matchups that we put in here at welterweight. So that's the new era of champion. That's the new era of welterweight right here. And then, of course, the last piece to this is putting in Islam Makhachev, who was the lightweight champion coming up after having the most lightweight title defenses. Listen, if they made Islam vacate, then that really, because he was the only champion that had any kind of case to be able to move up while holding his second belt. So this is really a statement by the UFC that if Islam can't do it, nobody else can. Because Islam built up that resume. He built up the title defenses to be able to kind of have that leverage to say, look, I want to get 2 belts at the same time and switch between divisions. This guy had one of the best cases for that. So for the UFC to do this, it just means that, like, it's probably nobody else is going to be able to have this opportunity ever again. But Islam, to enter him into this new, like, along with all these other guys, is just insane. It's insane when you just look at the previous slide of who's already in this welterweight division to welcome in Islam. And Islam definitely has his hands full with a bunch of these matchups. If he beats Jack Della Maddalena, up next you got up in the deck, you got Sean Brady, you have Shavkat. I really thought that Shavkat originally would maybe beat Bilal, and then Bilal and Islam could be, Shavkat and Islam could be in a big fight, because that would be also a 6 matchup, I think. And yeah, this would be crazy. This is going to be crazy, regardless, with how the welterweight division shakes out. So there's so much to look forward to with the welterweight division. It's loaded, it's stacked, and I can't wait, especially when they finally give us this Islam Jack Della Maddalena fight. So yeah, until next time.